Let's bring you more now on that breaking news that two men have been convicted of conspiring to carry out arson attacks that were targeting the property and a car that was connected to the UK's Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer. In court was our correspondent Daniel de Simone. We can take you over to him now live. Daniel, just give us the background to all of this and also what happened in court today.
So the background is last May there were three arson attacks relating to the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, a car that he'd once owned, a flat he'd once lived in, and a house that he still owned and only recently moved out of, and he still had family members living there. They were all set on fire. The fires weren't very extensive, fortunately, but it was sort of serious arsons. The three men who were on trial were three Ukrainian men. And just in the last few minutes, two of them have been convicted of conspiracy to commit arson. One of them convicted of further arson offences because he was the person who actually set light to the properties. Another man was acquitted. What the court heard during the trial is that the recruitment was online by a Russian speaker who used the alias EL. And he asked the main defendant, Roman Lavrynovych, to carry out the arsons. He gave him the addresses, told him what he wanted targeted, and offered him money in return. There was no information in the trial about who this mystery Russian speaker was, and the jury were told it wasn't part of their considerations. But later today, the BBC will be broadcasting an investigation into the background to this case, so that will be across the BBC later today.
Daniel, did the defendants demonstrate any political or any ideological motivation?
No, the motive was financial. So Roman Lavrynovych, who started the fires, he was motivated by money. That was made clear by prosecutors in court. They said there was no evidence he had any ideological motivation. In fact, when he was arrested, he told the police he didn't even know who Keir Starmer was. He was asked, do you know who the Prime Minister is? He said he didn't know. When they told him Sir Keir Starmer's name, he said he'd never heard of him. So the focus on the financial motive, and although this case was investigated by counter-terrorism police, and it was held here at the Old Bailey in a court that's often heard big terrorism cases, this was prosecuted purely as arson, and there was no information before the jury about the wider context, about who had instructed them. It was clearly a Russian speaker, but there was nothing said about who that was or who that person might have been working for.
Daniel, thank you so much. Looking forward to that investigation later as well. Daniel de Simone there outside the court.